Okay, I haven't thrown a shot yet today, but welcome Pit Nation and Storm Nation. I guess this will be a feature of the worldwide release of the Phase 3 bowling ball. What I'm going to do today is I haven't thrown a shot yet today. We are bowling on very, very lightly used house shot from last night. And I'm going to throw, if you remember a couple weeks back, I did the comparison between 3 different Phase 2s to show oil soaked versus pretty much used and then versus fresh. Well, I brought in the middle Phase 2, probably has about 80 games on it, and then I brought in the very fresh Phase 2. Similar layouts with the, both of them are right at about 5 inches. So Tim, you can get a shot of those. This one still has the mark on it from yesterday. This is about 5 inches for me. Okay, so what I'd like to do is throw a few shots with the Phase 2 that has about 80 games on it. And then I will try to compare it as best I can with the Phase 3, and we'll go from there. I think we had some unanswered questions from last week. Josh, we can throw those up as needed. As normal, I'm going to be playing around 16, 17, 18 at the arrows, out to about 8, 9, 10. We'll go from there. First shot of the day is always a little rough. That wasn't too bad. That one got out to about 6. As you're watching the ball go down the lane, Tim, get a shot of the, here, walk up here with me. I want you to look, get a shot of the actual lane, Tim, as I'm talking. I want you to know that on HPL, the second and third board is dark, fourth is light, 5 through 8 is dark, 9, 10, 11 is light, 12, 13 is dark, 14 is light. So I use that as reference points as to how much of a lateral move I'm using when I'm getting lined up. And it's the same on every HPL lane that you'll bowl on. Okay, so I watched the lateral, how far to the right that one got, and that one got out to probably about 6 or 7, as best I could tell. So I'm trying to keep it a little inside of that, 8, 9, 10, and we'll just throw a couple more shots with this and let me get loose, okay? That one got out to 5. That wasn't that good of a shot, but wow, that looked pretty good. So I might readjust off of a bad shot and then decide to play there if I was bowling lead. In fact, let's do that. Let's make a change off of a imperfect shot, execution-wise, that actually looked good ball motion-wise. That one was about 7, if you can see that. Give us some thumbs up if that makes some sense and you can see how far laterally that ball's getting. On those 4 dark boards, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then the 3 light boards, 9, 10, 11. That's pretty much the 7 boards that I use down lane to get an idea as to which angles that I'm going to choose. That was actually the best shot of all of them, and it was a little slow. but that one got to that 8, 9, 10 that I was thinking about. All right, couple more shots with this ball.
We're up to 62. Watch it. You're gonna be a star. $75. This is gonna make you a bigger star than when you were on TV on ESPN.
We got 75 people watching right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And I got the lights on me.
80. It's growing.
What the heck?
81,
You guys are multiplying out there.
87.
Nicole, you'd never hear what he was
We're gonna
saying
hit
with a
100
drone in
today.
here.
That one got a little too far to the right. I hope you saw that one.
I know. We gotta get we gotta figure out a situation to get a camera down the lane or something. Maybe you guys better. You just hit 103.
A drone
guys
definitely would not be the option.
Yeah,
You wouldn't.
drone-
It would sound
drone
like there's
would just crash
a.
into the ceiling, but
No, it wouldn't crash into the ceiling, but it would sound like there's a whole whatever. What's a flock of bees called? A buzzing. I don't know. Whatever. A flock of bees.
All right, Haas. There's 102 watching you right now.
All right, for the 102 of you that are watching, I'm going to attempt to throw the identical shot that I just threw with that Stone 8, okay? This is the first shot that I have thrown with the Phase 3.
111.
I don't know what to expect. I know what some of the
Swarm. There it is. Thanks, Garland.
I know what some of the other reviews that I've seen floating around out there are. But remember, we're not trying to define a bowling ball by what it does. We're trying to define this ball by how it's going to be best used. And how it ends up being best used, that's going to be determined over the next 2-3 weeks, month or so. 30, 40 games on the ball. I use it under different conditions. A ball will define itself as to how it responds throughout transition. Okay? So, transition is the key. I'll try to throw that identical shot. First shot with the Phase 3. Here we go. Wow.
Nice ball.
Look at that ball. I got a crowd back here.
Hey, have a good Turkey Day.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving, guys.
He looks like a turkey, doesn't he, guys?
Yeah, I wore my Thanksgiving shirt today, my jersey.
You spilled some
You should wear
gravy.
that one more often.
Spilled
I got
some
my
gravy
name
on
the
it.
back. Huh?
Spilled some gravy on it.
Yeah, I
looks
got a
like.
little gravy down south. It's good.
Oh boy.
Wow.
2 for 2. This ball's good.
Hey, I just ordered like 4 cases.
You
of
know
them,
what?
so they will be in
Listen.
stock.
Well, hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. That looked like a pretty good compliment to the Phase 2. We already know that core and cover combination that the Phase 2 has. That's proven performance ball. That's probably one of the top 5 balls throughout the entire industry over the last couple of years. Okay, well, what about these 5? Whatever, you know what I mean. That's one of the most proven balls that's been out over the last few years.
150.
So now we end up throw that Phase 3 up against that Phase 2. I'm not sure where it fits yet, usability, but it looked very pleasing to my eye from front to back. Obviously, just by its very nature of the cover stock, it's going to be a little bit lower friction and it's going to be a little quicker response. But that looked pretty good.
Up to 150 watching you.
Okay, try to throw a couple more shots that same way. Looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it.
All right, try moving in a little bit.
Well, that's what I was going to say, okay? So now what I want to do is I'm going to go back to that first phase 2 that I just threw, and I'm going to move to the right and raise my speed, lower my rev rate, okay? And then we'll try to throw this the same way up against it, all right? So it's the same phase 2. I'm just going to move 5 and 3 to the right. So I should be hitting about 13 or 14. That was okay. Let me throw it a little bit faster. Again, it's difficult to see the whole distance that I'm talking about. The ranges, the different friction zones, and we can talk more about that when you come to a Bull U workshop. But there was definitely more friction there. That certainly rolled a little bit sooner. All right, I'm going to increase my speed a little bit. Okay, I got that one just a little to the right. That could have been better. I was a little off balance on that shot. We'll throw one more. We'll throw one more, and then we'll go right to the phase 3.
Christopher, it's box finish. He didn't touch it. He hasn't even thrown it yet. So he's only thrown it 3 shots so far. The layouts are 5 inches from his access point on all 3 balls. Same layout. Hit above the bridge.
Okay, that was what I would think that was the best shot.
Here, show him, Tim. Just show him. Again.
Okay, this phase 2. This phase 2 has only about 10 games on it, so it's still very fresh cover. This phase 2. This, almost the same layout. This has probably 80, 70, 80, 90 games on it. And this, phase 3, this has 3 shots on it.
Tilt that phase 3 down just a little bit. Let's see what then.
Okay, can you see all that?
I got a question.
Yes.
Is there a certain length, volume, sport pattern where he would choose to use a pearl like the phase 3 over phase 2? But the phase 3 is a hybrid, right? Not so much a pearl.
Okay, same shot. Certainly quicker response. I saw that ball check a little bit in the first 20 feet, and then it laid off, and then down lane, I really saw it go through its precession rather quickly. Okay, I'm going to try to throw the same shot as the phase 2 again. I am not going to try to make a move off of that shot to try to make it strike. I'm just trying to remind myself of what I felt with the phase 2.
Hold on. Error loading, it says.
I don't know. It shows.
Going?
Yeah, I'm still going.
Okay. Maybe it's
Okay, is
just
everybody good? You're still going? People back here watching, all of
You
you?
watching on your phone too? It's still going for you? Okay.
All of you that have us up on live feed back there?
All right, you're
Everybody's good?
You're back.
Okay.
I think it's just you.
I don't know why I'm standing.
Again, that's exactly what I would expect. So that's a good sign. The relationship between the 2 balls stayed consistent relative to the friction. Okay? Now, I'm going to take the phase 3, move way left, and use some down lane friction. And then we'll throw the phase 2 up against that. The same phase 2.
Hold on, before you do that, I got a couple of questions.
All right, we got a couple questions first. Good, I get a break.
Yeah, I don't want you to die on me before Thanksgiving. So, is there a certain length volume sport pattern where he, meaning you, would choose to use a pearl like a phase 3 over a phase 2? And then I got another one after.
You know what? We actually talk a lot about this in a Bull U ball motion and lane plate workshop. So the gist, the overview of that would be any pattern that you bowl on, even if it's sport versus house pattern, any of those patterns, there's a fresh, there's a blend as the oil gets moved around, carry down notches down lane, depletion in the front, all the different angles being used converge to a part of the lane that's only about that wide at the end of the pattern. So a lot of depletion happens towards the end of the pattern, and then you got carry down to deal with. That's the blend phase. And then you got the burn phase of a pattern. So fresh, blend, burn. That burn phase, that's where that pattern becomes very laterally defined. No matter what the pattern, high volume, low volume, short distance, medium distance, long. This comes into play more in the blend and in the burn phase of a pattern. Wouldn't want to try to start out using this ball. I want to use the smoother ball motion, get lined up with it, and then as the oil moves around and the pattern enters the blend phase, these slower response time balls, typically you start leaving weak 10s, maybe blower 7 pins for right-handers. That's where you slide up the scale of response time to be able to match the slowing down of the response time of the pattern. And again, we break that all down in a Bull U ball motion and lane play strategy workshop. Very, very in depth, and I think pretty awesome because it's all based on the reality. We take you down the lanes, we start showing you transition, how it occurs, and you get to see for yourself. It's not based on theories or whatnot, so it's pretty cool.
All right,
All right.
he'll throw a couple more shots, and then we'll answer Bart's question after he's done throwing.
Okay, so now I'm going to move. I'll move 8 and 5 left. So I was standing on 15, so I'm going to move to 23, and I'm going to look at 21. How's that? 23, 21. I'm going to get it to the right. I'm still going to use probably 6, 7, 8 down lane, and we'll get lined up with this, and then I'll throw the phase 2 up against it. All right.
Was that good for you, Ronnie? Getting deep and
That actually got a
That
little
looked like
farther.
a Ron.
That got a little farther to the right than I would have liked.
That looks like a Ronald Townbridge shot.
But here's what I did like. For as far right as I got that ball being a, well, what we think would be a quicker response time ball, it didn't get out there and go this way really quick. It still blended that out, which is very important.
Okay, so how much do you figure in a player's axis, tilt, and rotation when deciding on a layout for a player? Question getting answered right after this.
Actually missed that one a little bit. You heard the fingers kind of pop on that. I missed that one a little bit, so that wasn't that good of a shot. Let me throw a couple good shots here, and then we'll get to some of those questions, okay? I feel like I'm getting it out farther than I would like. I really want to be using 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of guys get it up that far too.
There we go. Rick's finally tuning in. Yes, it is, Rick. Rick, yes.
Rick's here?
Yep, he asked if this is live.
All right,
It's
guys.
live, baby.
He is alive.
How many people we got watching right now?
180.
We got 180 people watching. So the other 179 of you, you have the man himself that just joined. So if you don't take advantage of this right now and throw some questions out there, I will tell you, if you go back to last week's, there was Rick later this afternoon or later in the afternoon responding to everybody's questions. And then he called me and saying, wait, was I just responding to everything that was live a couple hours ago? And I said, yep. So he's live and in person with us right now. Rick, thanks for joining us. I was just trying to explain to them about blend fresh or fresh blend burn. I was trying to explain to them it's not what a ball does, it's how it's best used. And then I was really trying to express to everybody that they really should be learning more about Bull U and the ball motion and lane play strategy clinics, as well as the foundational training type of stuff. So you can elaborate on this if you could.
All right, you're ready for another question. How close would a phase 3 with the surface adjustment be compared to a phase 2? I would say not close. They're two totally different balls. You can certainly slow down the phase 3 by sanding the polish or whatever off of it, but you're not going to get it to be a phase 2 by any means. And I think Brad would agree with that. Rick asked if that was your Halloween shirt.
Okay, no jokes, Rick. Come on, this is very serious stuff here. I have to tell you, even though this is very slightly used house, there's not really enough oil down lane right now for me to really feel like I can use this ball consistently. You'll notice one shot I got a little bit to the right and it kind of bailed out. And the next shot I made sure I kept it in and it jumped pretty quickly. So that's kind of what we're talking about as far as the fresh blend. This is not even close to blended phase yet of a pattern. So I wouldn't even make this my best option, or I certainly wouldn't be using these angles.
They're all loving your shirt. Oh, that looked good.
Yeah, see now that one looked good, but we all know that we need a little miss room. And miss room doesn't necessarily come from lateral miss room. Believe it or not, it comes from having a longer distance window that you can work within. Let me go to the phase 2. It's this one. So I'm going to throw the same shot that I was just throwing with the phase 3. I'm going to throw it with the phase 2, okay? You should see this ball take a longer distance as it starts that precession. It should take a longer, smoother motion. And I'm not going to do anything different to try to cheat you or deceive you. I'm going to try to throw the identical shot that I just threw with the phase 3, like 5 or 6 shots. Certainly, you saw that took a longer distance to make that move, which is another good thing. So now these two bowling balls, as they relate to each other, my job is to identify where there's friction and then how I'm going to use my ball roll to match up to that friction. Then, if I need a quicker motion, then I can use the phase 3. If I want a smoother motion, then I use the phase 2. Okay? Throw a couple more shots with that, and then I'll go to the fresher cover phase 2. See how smooth that is? So relative to the phase 3, certainly smoother, slower response time. If I was bowling right now, which one do you think I would use? I think it's pretty obvious. It doesn't make the phase 3 a bad ball. It means that it's just usability wouldn't be for right now until the pattern gets a little bit more developed. Rick, if you want to chime in on that, please do. Okay, got that one in a little bit, and it laid off enough to be able to trip the 4-pin. That shot was about the same shot off my hand as I think probably the third shot maybe with the phase 3, if you were to go back and look at all of those where I missed in, and you saw that phase 3 get to the end of the pattern and really check off the end of the pattern, just because it's not quite developed yet. All right, let's throw the other phase 2. So this is a fresher cover phase 2. Again, very similar layouts. We'll show the layouts again. This phase 2 only has, I would say, less than 10 games on it. So still fresher cover. I'm going to try to throw the identical shots that I was just throwing. Not trying to cheat anybody. I would say because of the fresher cover, what would we expect? We would expect it to be a little quicker, and I feel like that was, but yet still smoother than the phase 3, which it certainly was. Try to get this one a little bit more to the right so you can see it. Okay, didn't quite make it all the way back, but I still liked it. I think this is good. What else would you like to see? While I got this out here, what would you like to see?
You know, throw any comments, questions, anything else we want to see out of the ball in the comments there. I don't know where Josh went.
Got a little slow. That was more of the type of shot that I was just throwing. Kind of forgot to factor in that I just moved into a little bit more friction, so I need to get my speed up a little bit. It was an okay shot. I liked how I threw it. It just didn't match up speed to rev rate wise based on where I moved relative to the amount of friction that I was using.
Brad, I'm not sure what he necessarily means by this. Maybe you know. So with Bowl U, is there such thing as an A, B, and a C game?
Let's let Rick answer that. That's a great question.
Yeah, Rick, you want to chime in on that one?
The one thing I will say on that, I think that question came up last week. A, B, C game. I don't know. I used to classify my comfort level based on A, B, C game. But I really believe strongly now that we have an A game. And within that A game, each of us have certain ranges of repeatability. Whether it's your speed, your axis rotation, your rev rate, your grip tensions, the angles that you choose. We have a certain comfort level, and within those comfort levels, we have ranges that we can use and feel comfortable getting a little faster, getting a little slower, getting a more to the side of the ball, those types of things. That's our A game. The object for us physically when we're practicing is to be pressing the limits on those ranges, expanding those ranges, being able to feel that comfortable doing things that maybe some of you would call your B game. I can tell you, bowling weekend to weekend or competing out on tour, there's a very short window of frames that I get to do what I used to call my A game. It just doesn't happen that much. So if you're wanting to improve, you got to learn to press the limits on the comfort level that you have, being able to do more things so that it all becomes your A game. I'm willing to get as slow as I need to. I'm willing to get as fast as I can possibly get, but still stay comfortable. Now I call that and that range my A game. I hope that makes some sense to you. Tim, does that make sense how I explained that?
Yeah, definitely.
So Ron Townbridge asked, how would you compare this ball to the Astrophysics? Because Ron has the Astrophysics.
Okay, look at the layouts. Very similar layout. Yeah, this one's a little bit higher, probably an inch higher, but it's a very similar layout. These are both 5 inches from my axis. But what's the biggest difference in these two balls that we know? This one, this is asymmetric, this is symmetric. This one, this has been glazed with a very light 2000 pad a couple of times. This ball has not earned its way in my arsenal yet. I don't even know if it'll make it all the way into my arsenal. But I have used this in competition. I do like it. But a ball just doesn't automatically get put into an arsenal. It has to earn that right to hold that position relative to response time. That way, when you're bowling on something and you get a little confused, well, I need a little bit smoother motion. Well, I'm using this particular ball. I know I got to take 2 steps down to smoothen out that motion rather than making a huge lateral move. Yes, those are all options, all choices you can do. But the biggest difference between these two balls is this one's probably got, I don't know, 15, 20 games on it. This one has, what, maybe 15 or 20 shots on it. This ball is asymmetric. The cover's been glazed a little bit. Certainly a stronger core than this Phase 2 just because of the asymmetry. Similar layouts for sure. So, yeah, I'll throw it. Let's see it. Where do you want me to throw it from? You want me to move way left where I was?
Because Ronnie Townbridge, he is a deep player with a high rev rate.
Okay.
And he moves it.
All right, so we're moving back in for you, Ronnie. Make sure you say please and thank you.
Please, thank you.
23 to 21. Probably, I'm looking 21, so I'm probably hitting about 22, and then we'll get it out to about 6, 7. Okay. Try and throw those same shots I was throwing. Give me a shot or two to get dialed back down. I would say that looks just a little smoother, but I don't know that yet. I don't have enough games on that ball, the Astrophysics, yet to truly be able to determine where it fits in my arsenal. Certainly I don't have enough on the Phase 3. I can tell you that I like it, if that makes any sense to you. It's not that often that a ball jumps out at you right out of the box. You throw it down the lane and you're like, wow, I think I could use this. So I like that. I've hit that with a 2000 pad, a light 2000 pad a couple of times. That has certainly smoothened out that motion. I'll try to throw that same identical shot. I actually threw both of those pretty well. Try to throw that same identical shot with the Phase 3.
After you're done with that, we got more questions. They're piling up.
Good. Okay, same shot, not to trick you.
That's quicker.
I would say that was quicker. Now, what made it quicker? Oh, it's a quicker ball. It's way quicker. I haven't hit that ball yet at all. Certainly, the surface is a little shinier. Certainly, the asymmetry could have something. We talked about that a little bit last week. That could have an effect. Remember, it's not what it does, it's how we should best use it. There was a ball a few years ago. I may have mentioned this in one of the videos, but I don't know because I talk about this a lot. When we're talking about the usability of a ball, there was a ball a few years ago called the Frantic. That was the ball that Pete Weber famously won the U.S. Open against Michael Fagan, that orange and green ball.
I am.
That ball, you'd throw it down the lane and it would make a quick move. But if you tried to use it as a quick ball, it didn't last that long for the amount of frames. You couldn't use it. It started going all over the place for me. So I started trying to use that ball as a medium response time ball. Well, you try to use that ball as a medium response time ball, I had to use it with a little faster speed, a little shallower angles, and I controlled a different part of the lane with that ball. And then all of a sudden, I could get sometimes 2.5, maybe 3 games of good ball motion and controlling the pocket with that Frantic. So it's not what it does, it's how it's best used. And there's a lot going on in the industry that, like even right now, it's hard for me to resist saying that this ball is this. This ball is a quick ball. Well, we know it's going to be quicker than the Phase 2. But geez, some of these balls we might need to use a little bit differently. So I'll throw some more shots with this.
I think that Frantic, didn't he have a drilled pin in the palm too?
Yeah, he probably had a slower drilling in it as well. Yep. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad. It actually looks pretty usable.
All right.
Okay, more questions.
Hold on.
Is Rick commenting? Let me ask you that.
Rick is watching. Yeah, he's commenting a few
Okay.
times. Would a Phase 2 be a good ball for a two-hander?
Yes.
Looking for replacement for my Intensifire. Now, in past videos, Brad has said it's not what the ball, however you
It's
say
not
it.
what it does,
Yeah.
it's how it's best used. I will tell you, in Intensifire, asymmetric. Phase 2, symmetric. Intensifire, I think that was a hybrid, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a hybrid.
Phase 2, solid. So which one should be smoother? Of course, the Phase 2. This Phase 2 is a great ball. Would a Phase 2 be a good ball? Stop right there. Yes. I'll make the bold claim. These proven performance balls within the industry, the proven performance balls within Storm and Rotogrip, the Idol, the IQ Tour, the Phase 2. What would some of the other ones be?
High roads.
Yeah, high roads. Those proven performance balls. And this is a bold statement, but it's true. I believe it. If you don't have those balls in your bag, you're making a mistake. Those balls have proven themselves for years.
All right, I got kind of like another two-part question. One guy asked, how does Brad feel about pin down balls? And another guy asked, how would that Phase 3 look drilled pin down?
Well, as we talked about in one of the other videos,
Rick
For-
said good ball motion never changes.
yes, good ball motion never changes. How we accomplish it changes all the time. This ball, before we put holes in it, if we put a higher pin at 5 inches versus putting the fingers like this and drilling this lower, a lower pin will yield a smoother response time for this ball. It's not that a higher pin goes longer. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that.
Sometimes there's higher pins that are 3 inches from your access point. Just because it's above the ring finger doesn't necessarily mean it's going to respond quicker.
Again, I just leave it that simple for me. The higher the pin, the higher the layout for a particular ball, the quicker that layout will be for that ball. Okay? Rick, if he wants to, or if you want to attend a Bowl U seminar, I'm sure he can really unpack that and talk about the reasons why and really get down and to show you all of those things. But I just keep it that general. It's our job to be artists, so I don't really even need to know why. I just know that if I have a phase 2 with the pin drilled here and a phase 2 with the pin drilled here, and they both have the same number of games on it, same surface, I know this one's going to be smoother. This one will be quicker. But what if I put a lot of surface on the higher pin one, and I've used it for, like that one phase 2 that I have in my car, it's got a couple hundred games on it. So it's shiny, I got a lot of games on it, versus a fresher cover lower pin one, you know, that has surface on it. Could they flip, or what did I say? I said that wrong. I think you know what I mean. Same number of games, same surface, the higher pin should yield a quicker motion when it sees friction. Now, if you stand in the friction, it's going to respond quicker there. It's not going to make it go longer. Okay? I'm not sure what else to do. I think this was pretty informational today.
We still got more questions.
Okay, we got questions. I'll try to answer them as best I can. I got to be honest with you, I get a little intimidated with the presence of Rick on this. He's the one that has taught me.
He said we're doing great.
Rick is the one that has taught me all of this knowledge. So I really need to give Rick Benoit and Bowl U the credit. I used to see things a lot differently, and many, many nights across the table at a coffee shop, and many times fouling out on the lanes led me to where I'm at. So Rick, thank you. Thanks for your leadership and your knowledge and your patience with me these last, 15, almost 20 years coming up. What is another question?
So, the phase 3 drilled pin down, it would be slower than the current phase 3 that you're throwing.
I would say exactly, yes.
Or like the fresher phase 2 that you're throwing.
No.
No.
Two different bowling balls that are this far apart, it's hard to make them flip-flop. And why would you want to? If I have a crescent wrench, use the crescent wrench. I don't need to try to use needle nose pliers that can be used similar to a crescent wrench. Get the crescent wrench and dial it in to whatever you need, okay? And I use that not to joke. Some of the people here, I can't believe the number of people that showed up to be able to watch this, but some of these people are chuckling when I make those analogies. And, you know, I got to tell you, it's really true. One tool is designed to be used one way. Another tool is designed to be used another way. Let's just keep it that way. If you want to change the surface, change the layout, change the amount of oil that's in it, then take this ball, okay, shine it up a little bit, put a little stronger layout in it. Let's keep them in the relation of where they are. Why would I want to try to take a hypercell and turn it into a high road pearl? Now I know that's an extreme, but that's a little bit of what we're talking about here. You have a phase 2, it's designed to be one type of usability. And then you have a phase 3, it's designed to be a complement to the phase 2. Don't try to flip-flop them. Use them for what they are. Go out and bowl. Get enough games on it so you can make a good assessment of its usability, not what it does, and then go from there. And then you, the bowler, needs to be the artist that creates good ball motion. Yes, next question.
I know lane oil volume has changed over the years, but the Phase 3 looks like motion of the Marvel Pearl years ago, i.e. Kelly K, US Open, 2006 qualifying rounds.
Okay.
That's a
Marvel Pearl. I can tell you I have Marvel Pearls in my car. I carry them around. But they only come in the building when I feel like the friction level that I'm bowling on is so excessive that I need to go run out to the car to get the Marvel Pearl. You're right. So these cover stocks now, I would say, are for the most part, they're stronger than the Marvel Pearls were. It doesn't mean the Marvel Pearls stay in your closet. Maybe you bring one along with you. Or let's put the artistic bowler, the creative bowler, behind one of those. If I'm using a ball that creates less friction, example Marvel Pearl, I may need to dial down my speed. I may need to raise my rev rate. So all of those things are a factor.
okay.
Yes.
So, Joe, how does an original Phase 3, how does an original Phase, the original one, the Pearl, compare to the Phase 3? Now, I think that's a pretty good question because they're going to be similar, closer in ball reaction.
I'm going to be honest with you, the original Phase, I never put it in my hand. And I don't know how that sounds to you. I know my eyes, they don't like some colors at times. I remember when that Phase came out, some of the guys put holes in it and it looked really, really smooth. And then they came out with it, and then all of a sudden they looked different. So I don't know if they did something different with the phasing. I don't know. I never had a Phase go down the lane for me. I certainly seen a handful of guys use it that had a lot of success, so it doesn't mean it wasn't a usable ball. It just never really made it into my bag, okay? So I can't make a comment on that just because I never threw it myself.
Okay. So, sorry, we can't answer that one quite well, but we'll try again. Idle Pearl compared to Phase 3, would they be too much? Would there not be that big of a difference? Both similar layout?
That is a good question.
Yeah.
Idle Pearl Phase 3.
You want me to grab your Idle Pearl? Do you got one?
I have one. I don't know where it is. It might even be in my garage. I don't know because I didn't bowl this last weekend. I took a bunch of balls out. But let me just say this. They're both symmetrical balls. They both will have a 5-inch pin layout in them. The one Idle Pearl that I use. I do use it. But I don't know. I mean, my initial assessment on this, I like the way it looks going down the lane, if that makes sense. Rick, if you're still listening,
He is. He's been.
I used to only use white grips in my ball. And the reason that I used white grips as well as a white thumb sleeve is because my eyes liked watching how they migrated and rolled down the lane. And if I didn't like the way it looked, then I didn't use the ball. It was just that simple. It had to look pleasing to me. Since then, now I understand a whole lot more about ball motion. I went to black grips, so I don't see those things migrating down the lane because I'm watching the rotational axis of the ball. I think I have more usable ranges, more physical tools. Based on what I'm seeing of the Idle Pearl and the Phase 3, forgive me for stuttering here a couple of times because my brain's going a lot faster. Idle Pearl, Phase 3, yes, similar usability. The Idle is a proven performance ball. So therefore, the pearlized version of the Idol, it's great. The Phase 2 is a proven performance ball. Therefore, the Phase 3 should be pretty usable. And you with me, you've seen every shot that I've seen related to the Phase 3, and so far all I can just say is that, yeah, I like it. It'll go down the lane more for me.
Oil when the lanes start to transition. I think when the lanes start to transition.
Without a doubt, as the lanes start to transition. That's the key when we're bowling. Bowling is, always has been, always will be about that oil moving around. It's about transition. It doesn't mean that I can't use this Phase 3 on the fresh. But as oil's moving around, it's a little bit more sensitive to those changes. Use it. You're going to see a lot of honor scores shot with it, just like you have every new ball that comes out. Because in a league pattern, it's very laterally defined, and then our job as a bowler is we just get lined up relative to the amount of volume that we need going across the lane. If I need more volume, I just move left. And then I play my ball roll, and then I stay on the same lane. So it, you know, in a house environment, sure, you could use it on fresh. What I usually do in my league environments is I've been using a Phase 2 to start, or I'm really liking that Pro Motion. I use that a lot in my league environment.
I've been using the Pro Motion a lot too. It's a great ball.
We've drilled a number of those for people here at the shop, and they come out and they throw them on our fresher house patterns, and they love it. I'm talking the Pro Motion now. And then later on in the evening, when my Pro Motion stops striking, then I've been going to this Astrophysics, because I've been trying to get some oil in this Astrophysics. I've been trying to get more comfortable with what its capability is. So that's just the progression as to how I've used those. The Pro Motion on the fresh, and then the Astrophysics later in the evening. And I've been doing that every week, Tim, haven't I? Pretty much every single week, that's just what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Not because it's right, but because I'm trying to gain more knowledge over the differences and the tendencies of the ball itself, so that when I go to a weekend tournament and I'm bowling on flatter patterns, that I'm understanding what I'm doing and what I'm using distance-wise. So guess what I'll be doing with this Phase 3? Guaranteed. I'll be using this during league. I'll be throwing it down the lane, bowling under many different phases of transition, and then trying to get an idea as to, wow, it really starts looking good during this part of transition, if I can say that. It's not that you use this ball for 12 frames, and then you got to use this ball from the 13th frame to the 25th frame. It's a whole lot more than that. We, the bowler, we have to be the artist. We are the ones that create ball motion. I was reading a great thread from Rick Benoit. These bowling balls are great. And all the ball companies, they work hard to try to make different and usable bowling balls for us to throw. In my case, Storm and Roto-Grip. I think they're the best by a lot. Not just because I throw them. I throw Storm and Roto-Grip because I believe they give me the best chance to win. It's just that simple. Okay? So there's a lot of good bowling balls out there. But as an artist, when I bowl an honor score, of course I can tell you what ball I was using. But I think, Rick, I agree with you that the bowler deserves a whole lot more credit than the industry, we as a whole, give us as bowlers. It's not a magic ball type of thing. These balls are only usable tools. It's up to us to learn to use them properly.
And we can't beat that into your brains enough, guys.
It's so important. It's so important for us to develop an arsenal that we can use, but then we we are the ace in the hole. We are the artist. We can go out there and tweak a little bit of a speed move, or move a little left, or move a little right, or change our axis, or something to be able to dial in that good ball motion. Proper ball motion never changes. How we accomplish proper ball motion, that's changing all the time. So it's our job to be equipped with what we can do physically, and then have a diverse enough arsenal so that we can use our physical tools and arsenal to be able to dial in that good ball motion. Okay, I'm kind of beating that to death, but that's a lot of the stuff that we talk about at ball motion workshops. I have a question for each of you. If you have attended a Bowl U workshop, no matter what type it is, whether it's just been a one evening one that I've done here, a one evening one that Rick has done, or an all summer or an all weekend one that Rick and or I have done, please put it in the comments, because I think you know more about what we're talking about, okay? It's more than just put holes in a ball, throw it, wow, this is great. All right, I'm done with that question.
Phase, okay, so I know what this answer is going to be, but I'm just going to ask it. So this guy has Emerald, IQ Emerald. I know you haven't thrown it, but maybe you've seen it go down the lane versus that ball.
Well, hold on. I can tell you I have an IQ Emerald, and I actually like it. For me, that Marble Pearl that I mentioned a little while ago, the IQ Emerald is a little more friction for me. At first, I didn't have a weight hole in the IQ Emerald. And as I threw it down lane, I needed a little bit more return, so it filled that part that I was looking for in my arsenal. And so while I was at a tournament, I went into the pro shop and we put a weight hole in that. Why? Because I'm allowed to use weight holes until August. So it helped fill that usability. I would say that the IQ Emerald, I know that's a weaker core. Because that's a weaker core, that allows that ball to not respond. So, and I want to say respond, that's not the right word. It allows that ball to get through the fronts a little bit easier for me as the amount of friction between the ball and the lane increases. As I sense more friction in the front, and I want to stay there, instead of using an astrophysics that may really bog down in that friction, I may use an IQ Tour. There's a weaker core, the friction component it isn't as strong, and then that's where I use that IQ Emerald, I should say, IQ Emerald. How that IQ Emerald relates to the Phase 3, I can already tell you. Gosh, I wish I had it in here, to be honest with you. I know that's in my car. Josh, if you want to go get it, if you could find my keys, I could throw it. I know it's in my car. And I guess if you see the Idle Pearl in there, grab that too. So give us a minute or two, and then I'll try to throw some more shots with that.
Keep talking,
But
Rick.
without a doubt, I can tell you that the IQ Emerald creates less friction than this Phase 3. I can already tell. Just because that eye that I have, that sense and that usability that I use with my eyeball is very keen in what I'm seeing. So, and hopefully you'll be able to see it too. More questions, Tim?
I'm kind of scrolling through right now. There's a lot of comments.
All right, let me throw some more shots.
Probably one you'd already know the answer to, or I already know the answer to, but the ProMotion compared to the Supersonic wouldn't.
I drilled the Supersonic. I also had a Sonic that I liked a little bit. That Sonic never really came close to getting it all the way into my arsenal, but I did use it at a couple stops out on tour, and then I drilled the Supersonic. The Supersonic, for the space that I thought that it was going to fit, I just liked the Phase 2s, those types of balls. I'm trying to think the other balls in my bag that I was using back then. The Idols, rather than the Supersonic. For me, the Supersonic just didn't stand out. And when I was at a point in time where I could choose either the Supersonic or an Idol, if I threw the Supersonic, didn't quite look right, I threw the Idol, and that matched up perfect. So there's an example of a ball I think is a good ball for some people. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Tour Pearl. Put it next to the Phase 3. It's almost the identical layout again. And the Idol Pearl. So basically the same layout. I'm waiting for the question, why does every ball look the same? Just because I try to put the same layout in every ball that I drill for the first test of that ball. And then if I want a stronger one of these, and I'll move the pin closer. If I want a smoother one of these, I'll lower the pin. So that type of stuff, okay? But again, we talked about that, I know, a few weeks ago. I'm fortunate enough to have that luxury to be able to drill a lot of balls. I know that many of you don't have that luxury. So that's where Josh and I come in to be able to try to take you out onto the lanes and try to watch you throw balls down the lane and then match you up with a layout for that new ball that you're trying to have. And sometimes that layout might be very different than anything you have in your bag, okay? But let that be our job for right now. All right? Okay, I'll throw this Phase 3. I'll get lined up with this from where I would say would be my most comfortable if I was bowling a tournament right now, okay? And I already know it's gonna be a little bit farther to the right from where I was, but it's gonna be a little left of where I started. So I'm standing on 20, looking 20. Ah, I slipped. These new shoes.
Those are his regular shoes, by the way.
Yeah, I just slipped on that one.
Don't show that proprietors will kill you.
Yeah. So I already know the answer to this question, but a guy asked, what's your go-to bowling ball? Your eyeball, right?
I will tell, exactly. My go-to bowling ball is certainly my eyeball, because my go-to ball is proper ball motion. There's no such thing as the right ball, but there is a such thing as the right ball motion. Rick, you've said this to me more than I care to count.
Hashtag bowl you.
There's no such thing as the magic ball. You don't have to have the right ball. You just can't have the wrong one. And yeah, that's funny, Rick. No, you stop and think about that. There's no such thing as the right ball. I got to get the right ball. No. You got to have the right ball motion. That's the key. All right, getting lined up here. We got some dead wood here, so I should be able to chop the 10 out if I need it. So keep that dead wood in that gutter.
That deadwood didn't help with that one.
That was horrible. All right, give me a couple shots. Sorry. I do want to show you, I'm glad that Josh found the Idol Pearl. I want to show you the difference in these. Okay, I just moved to 21. I got to get it out to 7-8 again, okay? Okay, that looked a little better. How about that weak 10 there? So do I move left? Do I move right? Do I change speeds? I'm just going to play it the same and try to dial it in. And then I'll put the Emerald and the Idol Pearl in my hand. We'll throw that. Really struggling here. I don't know why. I think I'm getting old. that senior tour is creeping up on me a little bit. Sorry, gang. I really am sorry. Sometimes I stink. That's a little better. Okay. Now off that, I'm just going to raise my speed a little. See if I can dial that in. Last shot with this ball, whether I strike or not. You've seen it go down the lane enough. Even though I'm not hitting the 1-3, you see its motion. Okay, a little faster.
I think you're going to hit that with a pad. I think it's a little too sensitive.
I think it is too. There we go. That was a better shot. Okay, let's go right to the Idle Pearl, because this is the one you guys asked about first. This has also been hit a couple of times with a light 2000. This probably has 40 or 50 games on it. I have used this quite a bit in competition when I've needed it. So I'll just try to throw that same shot, okay? My expectations are it'll look a little smoother, kind of like the Astrophysics did, just because it's been hit and the cover has been used a little more. Trying to throw that same shot as that last previous shot. That little more speed is my key right now. Okay, that looked pretty good.
Stony?
Actually felt like I really liked that one off my hand. Sure enough, the motion was a little smoother.
Rick asks, where is the ship? Rick asked the question.
Well, my rev rate has probably already depleted so much oil.
Gotta be at least 700 or 800.
It's a throwback.
Yeah.
I don't know, Rick.
Put you on the spot.
Look at topography on lane 11.
Why don't you throw some on 12?
No, I'm just trying to come up with something. Some excuse. I went into my bowler excuse towel. Okay.
So while you're
That was a pretty good shot. Looked a little too smooth.
While you're chewing on that, while he's throwing shots, Joshua asked, when you get a new polished storm ball, do you hit it with a little surface with an Aberro pad? Depends,
I
right?
usually don't right out of the gate. But believe it or not, the more that I throw it, the more that I just do. I don't know. It's not that I feel like polish is a bad thing, but I do think because proper ball motion is smooth, that the more polish I have on a ball, it tends, for me at least, to be a little bit more sensitive to transition. So I would rather use a smoother ball motion and use more of the head pin, but there's a lot of people that like to keep that shine on their ball, throw it faster, and then they can use less of the head pin. All right.
Brandon, the wild streak will do for another week, so stay tuned.
You see how that ball kind of, I mean, that was certainly more to the right. I had my speed up on that shot.
Rick has another question. Show us weak-handed players.
Yeah, I will. I was thinking about doing that, so good question, Rick. Okay, I'm going to throw a good shot here, like I've been trying to. Good shot with the Idle Pearl, and then we'll use the M rope, and then I'll go back to the phase 3, and then I'll do some weak hand stuff, okay? And then we'll call it a day. That was a pretty good shot. All right, IQ Emerald, same shots,
Zach Bowman.
same zones. If you can see this, I want you to see how much easier this ball gets through that front part of the lane, just because it's a weaker core. I mean, I see it plain as day. You able to see it here, Josh? You see how easy that ball flowed down the lane. Weaker ball. This might allow me to use more of that hold, what Rick was asking about. Again, same shots. It's just overall a little weaker. I'll throw the phase 3 from right there. And then while I have it out here, I'll throw the astrophysics. So again, same shots. Phase 3, featured ball of the day. Same shots. Keep getting that ball in. I don't know why I get that ball in a little bit. Frustrating.
Concentration. Pretend like you're bowling somebody and they just told you that you crossed over an issue.
How about if I just pretend like I'm bowling Josh and I need this to beat him for $3? This
I'll
is how
beat
much
you
it
for
is.
$3 all day long. We'll do this live right now.
If I got the battery for that.
Yeah, that didn't freaking
That was a pretty good shot. But as you can see, that ball held its energy, probably because of the shine, and that was a little steeper relative to the Idle Pearl. All right, astrophysics. Same shot. Certainly, of those 4 balls, the strongest, without a doubt, the astrophysics. The smoothest, response time-wise, I would say, is the astrophysics and the Idle Pearl. The quickest, I would say, is the phase 3 so far. Don't know what else I can do.
Well, we can wrap it up. I mean, we've been on here for an hour. We answered a lot
Has
of
it been
questions.
an hour or is it more than an hour?
It's got to be more.
Hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, I want to do weekend and stuff. Rick
Yeah.
asked for weekend.
How much battery you got left?
I'm still probably fine.
I'm gonna lead and throw it straight up like 12-13, okay?
Yeah, I'm still 40.
Weekend. I happen to grab the IQ Emerald. Standing on 11, looking at 12. Woo! Woo, woo.
Rick just said if you can't find the shim on house, you won't win.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. You gotta find the hole. Welcome to all of you that just walked in. I see some new faces out there, so thank you.
My gimbal can't handle the
Standing
laughter.
on 11, looking at 12.
Don't all applaud at the same time.
Weak hand. There's your hold
But we can.
with a weaker hand, sure. Okay. So I'll throw that one more time.
And then we'll do the phase 3
And we'll let that be the benchmark. Yeah, and then we'll throw the other 3 up against it. Wow. I got that one to the right quite a bit, didn't I? And that looked pretty good. Got lucky on that shot. All right, phase 3. I'm trying to pay attention to getting out of the way and not moving to the right so you can see the whole ball going down the lane. Are you able to get it? I'm not in front of my. Okay. All right. 11 looking 12. Same shot. Now, what would we have expected? What did I say earlier? That was certainly more friction. Without a doubt, that was more friction.
So I got a good question, and I already know the answer, but he doesn't. How does he change to a weaker hand shot? That's just his ranges. That's how he. That's just how he knows.
You'll learn about that in a Bull U skill development camp. You really will. You'll learn about that if you get a one of the Bull U training orbs. Go to bullu.com and purchase a training orb, and then learn more about some of those videos that are available there. Same shot, 11 looking 12. Hopefully you can see that was still stronger. That was more friction over the distance of the lane, okay, than that IQ Emerald.
Rick wants to know what kind of ball he can get to find shim.
Answer the customer's question.
It's not really a customer, more of a renter.
That was similar. Yeah. That was similar to phase 2. Or, excuse me. Yeah. That was similar to the phase 3. But that was definitely smoother than the phase 3. Which again is consistent as to what we determined before. And I really am trying to throw the same shots as I did with the IQ Emerald. Certainly, that was a little slower. All right, I got to throw the astrophysics from there.
And then we'll kind of wrap it up here, guys. So if you've got any last minute questions, now's the time.
I would say the astrophysics is the most friction out of these 4. Similar friction as to the phase 3.
So is a weaker hand really weaker?
Who's that? Is that Rick?
Yep.
Sounds like a Rick question.
Yep.
All right, 11 looking 12.
That looked the best.
Definitely smoother, right? And we said of these 4, that's probably the slowest response time. Doesn't mean that it's slow response time. Probably not even quite medium response time. I am going to answer that question, Rick. Is a weaker hand weaker? No. A weaker hand is relative to the amount of friction that you're using. It's all based on friction. Everything we do is based on friction. If you need less friction, what are your options? Weaker core, smoother ball, weaker hand, more speed, being able to dial in all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, that's funny how they just. So Brandon said, I think you get more revs from your weaker hand than you do on your other one. Then it's just as you type that in, Rick said a weaker hand or ball can actually be stronger.
No, Brandon, that's not what he said. He said that he gets more on his weak hand than he does on his full hand.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood it. My bad.
Well, keep in mind, I moved to more friction. So, which one's going to read sooner? Which one's going to look like it's revving?
where there's more friction. Creating more friction with your hand, that's higher rev rate. That's slower speed. So that's more surface. I will say the best ball motion of all of these balls that I've thrown today is the Phase 2 for right now. But I haven't thrown it in probably, what, 50, 60 shots probably, give or take. I haven't counted, but I would say it's getting up there. But the Phase 2 was the best ball motion, the one that I would have used. So we'll see. Because it's the smoothest motion that I can still control the pocket and knock over the pins.
Well, you're here, Garland. Just ask me. You gotta come up here so the camera can hear you.
It's a great question, I'm sure.
Tuck pinky or not tuck pinky?
I use a tucked pinky. It's just evolved over the years. It's just my preference. It's not necessarily something that I recommend or don't recommend. I actually have somebody that's having some issues with their ring finger, with some soreness in their palm and up through their wrist. And hopefully they'll come in over the next couple of days. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill fingers for their index and middle and their pinky. And I'm going to drill a huge hole that they can just rest their ring finger in. So as their hand comes out of the ball, that they aren't going to feel much on their ring finger. You'll try to take the pressure off of their ring finger. It's a high school student that I've worked with a handful of times, and he just wants to bowl for his high school. So he's experiencing some pain. That was where I had my problems with my ring finger, and my problem was right in here. You know, so it's just something we're going to try, and if it helps alleviate some of that pain, take some of that pressure off, then we'll just go with it. So sometimes we have to experiment. There's no right or wrong, just be willing to experiment. Does that answer your question? I have some students, believe it or not, sometimes they have their hand in the ball like this, and then the next shot, it's like this, and then the next shot, it's like this, and they don't even realize that they did the different thing all three times. They just are unaware. So I think each of them are usable tools. If you have the ability to repeat them and know what they do for you. Garland, while you're here, I would still work on either A, gaining more speed, B, getting stronger bowling balls, or C, stabilizing your axis. Because with your rev rate, the amount of axis rotation that you like to use, sure, yeah, you can bowl okay on some house patterns, but man, controlling that transition for 36 frames in league, it's going to be tough for you. It's going to be tough. I'm working on that with another good friend of mine, and he just drilled the Pro Motion, and he loves it. And he came in and bowled the sweeper last week, and he was doing exactly what we were working on. Even in the midst of his frustration, he stayed committed to trying to get his axis a little bit more stable, use a little shallow angles. He's left-handed as well, and he loved it. He texted me over his last league or a week ago in league, shot 706 or something, which is decent for him. But when he first tried those changes, you know, he was struggling because it was more of a visual change that wasn't pleasing to him, and it kind of tripped him up. So just get out and play with it enough, because I know you have some hand issues and some pain issues. So, you know, never do anything if it results in any sort of pain. Stop immediately. And the object is to bowl pain-free. I don't know. How about a weaker hand shot, and then we'll call it a day, okay? Weaker hand with the Phase 2. I was standing 11, looking 12, higher speed. Okay, that deflection-wise, that 6-pin went off the wall. Chop the 10. I'll take it. But that might be, this might be a little too smooth a response time for these angles and that speed. See if I can dial that in a couple shots.
Rick said there's the sheet.
Okay, that one was better. Obviously, that's the slowest ball motion by far, or the smoothest response time ball. And then I would say, based on the balls that we threw today, I would say the Astrophysics is the next smoothest. Then probably the Idle Pearl. And then probably the Phase 3, just by a little bit. Again, probably only the Phase 3 is quicker because it's fresher cover. I haven't touched that cover at all with that 2000 pad, and up until we went on the air, it didn't have any oil in it at all. So,
All right, last question.
okay, now we got another question. Great, let's
That's
do it.
Last one though. When you say standing 11, which foot are you lining up with?
Again, that's very relative. Okay, so Tim, come up here, get a good shot. Let come around the front. Obviously, this is 20. In my bowling center, on lanes 1 through 12, these lanes have been here for a while. So if you look, there's actually 5 boards in between, and then that dot. I know many people have seen that before and talked about it. But right now, I would call this standing on 20. I have another student that would call this standing on 18. I actually have another student that calls it they're standing on 15. The issue is it's all the same relevant to, or relative to where I'm standing. If I move 2 left, then everything's 2 left. Doesn't really matter what you use, as long as it's the same every single time. In this case, I call this standing 22. If I'm using this dot as a reference, or this would be, whoop, I was 25, now I'm standing 21. Whatever, it's nothing more than a reference point, okay? So some places that have 6 boards in between the dots, it's not anything that we've done wrong or labeled wrong. It just has to do with at a time when lanes were installed that this is what they did. So nothing more than a reference point. Don't let that trip you up, okay? Wherever you're standing, as long as you know where you're standing relative to where you were standing, that's really what you want. So always use the same part of your foot or feet, just making sure that. I know some people, they get lined up and they wiggle. I don't have a problem with that as long as they wiggle the same amount every time. Truthfully, Dave Gwyndon, very good friend of mine and one of the best bowlers ever from around here in Western New York, as well as throughout the country, he had those wiggles. You know, he would stand there and be wiggling left. But man, if you watched him, he was always on the same board as he went into the approach. That's the key, okay? All right, we good for today?
Yep. I just want to say, if you guys need any more info on the Bowl U stuff, you can call the shop, 716-425-4577. Or you can contact Brad.
You absolutely can contact me. Shoot me a friend request on Facebook along with a private message. Otherwise, I'm not going to accept the friend. I get too many, and I want to keep it open to people that are really interested and serious about learning more about Bowl U.
Or you can contact Rick Benoit, and guys can go onto the Bowl U website. I believe it's bowlu.com.
Bowlu.com. How many people do we have watching?
Right now about 60.
Yeah, but
Okay, we're down to 60, so use 60. If any of you are interested in Bowl U workshops, doesn't mean that you have to get in your car and travel. Rick and or I we're available to schedule one in your area, and we'll help you promote it in your area. Let's get this Bowl U stuff out there, because I really think it can change our sport. I really do. My closing is, we've been on the air now for an hour and a half or better, and each one of these continues to get longer. I'm okay with it. Just know that there's a certain number of topics that we're trying to discuss each week, and the conversation evolves, and we just go with it. I'll go in whatever direction you want to go. If I start seeing that these numbers really start dwindling, then, you know, I just think we got to come up with some neater and more interesting topics to talk about. And there's always stuff we can talk about. The last thing in closing this week, have a great Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. My wife, she runs our bowling center here, and her and my daughters, they took a couple hours away from here and went and got the turkey and all the other stuff from the grocery store, and it's just awesome to see the dedication that people have in trying to make a good meal for each other. So as you're sitting around that table, please have a great Thanksgiving and enjoy each other. And in the middle of the week, as you're watching the video, throw some more questions and comments, and we'll try to come up with something interesting for next week, okay? All right, have a great Thanksgiving and a good weekend. Thanks.